Curtis join us now. Like Kurt or Curtis? I call you Curtis, but what do you think?
Call me Kurt.
Kurt, okay, good. All right. Well, this is Kurt Gelotte with Gelotte Hummus Architecture. And one of the things about Kurt that impressed me so much when I met him at the luncheon, or the awards judging, was he has this sensitivity about him. And he's very, just has these, there's a wisdom. And when he started talking with me about, after a long day of judging, there was hundreds of entries they were going through, he still came up to me afterward and just really wanted to share his insight on what opportunities were for architects and skills. And he was so passionate about it and really spoke about the art of architecture and put it very eloquently. So I'm very excited to have Kurt here with us. His interview is posted as well too if you want to see, but he's going to expand a little bit more on what makes a good design. And I'm going to have you go from there. What makes a good design?
Well, I think a good design is one that, first of all, has a really good concept to it, but then is really executed very well. You have to look at it kind of in the broad scope and the narrow scope, back and forth and back and forth. A good design has good scale and proportion. It functions extremely well. Everything about it has been thought through so that it really, really works and then also looks really good.
Right. It's that balance. We actually talk about that in the value of design, where it's a balance of function, cost, and design. And you were actually mentioning something about proportion, how important that is.
Yeah. There's always a lot of talk about scale and proportion in design. A lot of times it gets neglected, I think, simply because you're so focused on more pragmatic things. But I always try to stand back and take a look at my initial designs and go, does this look good? And to be quite honest, most of the time it's kind of, there's potential there. So then I have to take it and go, okay, well, what can I do to make this beautiful instead of merely pragmatic? And that gets into looking at the arrangement of objects like windows and doors and roofs, and also their scale and proportion. And I can go talk for hours and hours about proportion. I think it's one of the somewhat forgotten arts of making things the right size and shape. When something is properly proportioned, it's just pleasing to the eye. And there's a lot of things that we have deduced over the years as to why things are pleasing to the eye, and you can rely on those guidelines to help shape things so that they're just a little bit better proportioned. And then as the design evolves, you go, okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. This is really starting to look good.
Well, with all the computer programs and all of the 3D tools, doesn't that just figure it out for you now, automatically?
No. Just computers are only a tool. And like any other tool, they do what the operator tells them to. And so if you're not, if you've heard the old phrase from the old computing days when you did your punch cards, garbage in, garbage out. Well, it's the same thing today. If you're not putting a design into the computer that looks good, it's not going to look, the computer's not going to make it look good. You have to tell the computer what to do to make it look good. And I think computers are wonderful tools, but they're only one of the tools that we have.
Right. So what skill would you say architects need to develop today?
I think there needs to be more emphasis on actual drawing by hand. You start to develop a feel for a design as you're sketching away and not being too precise. Computers are absolutely precise, and that's their great strength, it's their great weakness. It's hard to do imprecise concepts in a computer because it won't let you. It'll be a precise concept. So being able to draw ideas, being able to express yourself through drawing is really, really important in the field, because it's one of the primary ways we communicate our design to our clients and to other people. I do a lot of drawing in meetings. An idea will come up, I'll draw a sketch of what that could look like in 3 dimensions.
And there's on one sense, there's the artistic skill set that's needed, but there's also the business skill set that's needed as well. What would be a business skill you think an architect should develop today?
I think they should have a really good understanding of how financing works in the construction realm. And I think particularly these days, and it was even mentioned at the Gold Nugget Awards, he thanked his banker for backing him. And I think that there are a lot of projects that just don't move forward because of some problem within the financing industry. There's a problem in there. And so when it was boom times, there was a lot of financing, and right now it's a little harder to get. And I think architects really ought to know how that really works, get to know the resources out there in the community, and help put the team together, find the right finances for the project if that's necessary.
You had actually mentioned that in your interview, that you felt that architects need to become facilitators today.
Yes.
In what other sense would they be a facilitator?
There's so many components to projects these days. We rely on landscape architects, interior designers, civil engineers. There's just a whole network of consultants. But there's also people who know about various products. Some people have specialized in green building technology. There's a lot of specialized knowledge that goes into many, many projects, and you need to be able to pull a whole team together that has the right knowledge to make it happen.
And your story, your personal story of how you built your business is very interesting and very entrepreneurial. You actually mentioned that, you started as an errand boy in an architect firm, and then with only 2 designs under your belt, you basically started your own business.
Right.
And 26 years later, you have this firm, and that it just takes unrealistic confidence, I think you said.
Yeah, it does. You have to firmly believe that your strengths will overcome all of those weaknesses that you don't know you have.
Right.
And I had my brother-in-law is a photographer, and he was starting his own business, and he said, "Well, how do you make the business work? I mean, how does it succeed?" And I thought a minute, and I said, "Just don't make the same mistake twice."
There we go.
Yeah, you learn a lot along the way. Probably the best thing, kind of on the non-architecture side, that I ever did is I took a business accounting class. And I don't do accounting.
Yeah.
But if you don't understand it, then when your finance person or your banker says, "Well, I need your balance statement and your all those things," you don't have at least you know what they're talking about, and you know what your are for how you're doing to know whether you've got a problem or not.
Right.
So that's